our next guest understands what motivates fans to buy more tickets. He has worked with the Stick and Ball Sports, special events, Miller Motorsports Park, and now helping expand the Diamond Ticketing System's Fuel Tix program into the racing world. Let's welcome Jackson Babcock.
Thank you. First off, thanks to Tim and Dennis for all the hard work that they put in with their crew to make this happen. Thank you all for being here, extending your trip by at least one day to get out here. Like I said, Fuel Tix, we as a company focus more on the short track and helping you guys optimize your ticket sales, both as your gate sales, front gate, back gate, but also your online presence and helping open up that as a revenue stream, allow people to give you money ahead of time. But with that, my personal background in working in event operations, ticket sales, sponsorship sales in more traditional arenas, sports, minor league baseball, hockey, NBA, things like that. So we have the benefit of not only having a good system, but having some operational background that helps us kind of understand the things that you're up against and help you grow and optimize that way.
Every guest deserves at least 3 rounds of applause in this world. All right, folks, there's no truth to the rumor that Mr. Tim Frost brought our next guest up here mainly because she used to be a nurse, and he figured that the RTB experience would have me laying flat on the floor by this time in the afternoon. But really, she was a nurse, folks. But she also knows how to really re-energize a fan base and also how to help build leaders within an organization so they can sell better on their own. From Sold Out Seating, Kathy Burrows.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. My whole purpose in my little life is to build relationships for you guys so that you increase your sales. That's important to me, and also to build your staff. My background in racing started with a large number of speeding tickets in Bay Village, Ohio, where the cop finally asked me, are you trying out for the racetrack? And I said, I could be. Would you be a recommendation? He didn't find that very humorous. I got a ticket anyway. But after 3 tickets, I figured I better slow it down. But from there, I worked for the Cleveland Indians for a number of years, had a lot of teams calling me. I was responsible for 2/3 of all the revenue brought in. Had a lot of teams calling me for help. And if any of you worked in baseball, you know baseball, Major League Baseball is not very friendly to other teams. You're supposed to be your own little island and not converse with other teams. So I left to grow and started my own business, Sold Out Seating, and have never really looked back. I've enjoyed it immensely. And I've worked with a myriad of different types of sports, including the Grand Prix, the champion Grand Prix, both in Cleveland and in Texas. I started a group sales program for them, started a family-friendly area for them, just came up with some creative ideas, which is what I do very dangerously, really get off-the-wall ideas, but it works 9 times out of 10, and brings in a new fan base. So I'm just here to make everybody successful.
So Diamond Ticketing Systems, they were the gurus on selling movie tickets, the best in the business. And you guys are now doing that to other venues as well. But now the Fuel Tix brand, I'm really intrigued with what you guys have been doing. But this is an experience or an experiment. It's a work in progress with you guys. What have you learned through the process here of building this Fuel Tix brand that lets you know a little bit about how different the fan bases are that you've been dealing with?
Yeah, so quick background, kind of expand on that. So our Fuel Tix is one offering that our company has. As a whole, we started actually in cinema movie sales for smaller private label theaters. We were the first U.S.-based company to offer a print-at-home barcoded movie ticket back in the late 90s. Obviously, as technology and e-commerce has expanded, as we grew our offerings to arenas and theaters and art houses, rodeos, things like that, we we identified motorsports as a significant growth opportunity for us after we started working with Lebanon Valley. They were our first track. From getting to meet people at conferences like this and some other showcases, became very evident that with our focus for short tracks, helping them understand that you need to meet your customers where they want to be, which is purchasing tickets online, which could be a big leap of faith for a lot of small tracks. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk today on kind of global initiatives and some very big picture stuff, but focusing on kind of the grassroots type of thing and understanding that the very tight-knit community that is these grassroots racing communities is that they potentially are leery to change. Change is hard for everybody. And so helping understand the intricacies of each operation, knowing that we have kind of our boilerplate system that we deploy, but how do we make it work for you and the unique offerings that you want to offer your fans, and meeting your ticket buyers where they want to be, and helping you gain the data that comes with that. I mean, it's funny, it touches on kind of all the different topics that we've had, starting from obviously fan engagement is important in the ticket purchasing process, the data analytics on, at the very least, can you capture an email address to remarket to them? So all those different touch points that things like that. But knowing that we want to help grow motorsports, we haven't just branded this as a unique way to look like we are drivers, which we're not, but we understand ticketing and we want to make ticketing work for the motorsports realm.
And if you have a sales staff or even a couple people that are selling for you, the online system is really important in that aspect too. It doesn't replace it necessarily, it doesn't replace your people, but it's in addition to, because just as he said, you're collecting data, the analytics from that data, what you can grow from that data, who's buying, where are they buying, where should we be marketing more, where should we be out more? You know, if we're drawing from this area, why aren't we out there presenting ourselves more? What areas are like that we could go after? You're missing the whole picture. So the online stuff really helps you tremendously.
And Jackson, can you explain, though, to folks how just being online just doesn't cut it, that they have to make it a real simple process? I'm not going to name names, but I went to a track Facebook page and tried to go from a link off of there to buy a ticket to an event a while back. And I was run through the maze. First of all, the link didn't work, which was the first problem. But when you got the link corrected and got to the right place, it was still a maze to find your way to the ticket site. I am a rather persistent person, but I even gave up. Younger fans are going to give up even, I think, a little bit quicker. Can you explain how you need to make that so seamless?
Yeah, I think it's a product of the fact that e-commerce is so accessible today. Is that to you as a ticket buyer, that's what you're focused on now. But you have so many different benchmarks in life to compare that to, whether it's shopping on Amazon or the Amazon click button. I mean, it is so easy and accessible to buy anything today that if you're not offering an easy way to do that, I mean, we pride ourselves on having an easy, very straightforward e-commerce platform that obviously focuses on ticketing. But yeah, if you're not making it easy, because the benchmark is Amazon, and it is things like that. That if it's a negative experience, are you going to be able to get them back after one sour note?
And Kathy, first of all, folks, this lady can get you fired up. I was on a conference call with her, and she got me more energized and juiced up for this session during that call than I could have ever believed as I was doing call after call after call. How do you do that? What is it about your personality or what you've learned? How do you build people to be better leaders and better motivated? Because a lot of it, gets to be the same old stuff. How do you do that? How do you build a better leader?
I think, sports as a whole, Einstein must be very proud of us because we are definitely his definition of insanity. We keep doing the same things and we expect different results and we just scratch our heads and say, but what happened? So, I like to go and change things up. And I love to go in and tell people, I'm 37, give or take a decade or two or so. And if I can get excited by change, why can't you? Why can't millennials? Why can't other people, right? You got to get excited. So I get very enthused. I try and pump up a staff. I go in and I have people realize, what is your passion? Why are you here? Think about it. Why are you all here? I have not been to a conference that has been this intense, where you guys are actually paying attention in years. This is a unique conference. But the point is, you're here because you want to be. You obviously have a passion. You obviously want to learn and grow. And because of that, you're going to make a difference. You're going to go back to your community, back to your racetrack. You're going to make a difference. Even if you take one idea from what you got out of here, you're going to make that difference. We all have something to offer. Everyone has something to offer. If you're open-minded and listening, you're going to get something from it. I believe in empowering people. I'm a huge believer in positive motivation and empowering people. And if you look at your staff and you go back to your staff, instead of telling your staff what to do or telling your staff what you've learned, you can share with them what they've learned, but then ask them, how can you make this work here? What can you do to make this work here? Use some of their ideas. When you use the ideas of the people you have, you look at it yourself. If you're told to do something and you do it, you'll do it. But if you're asked for your opinion, your thoughts on how to do something, and you share that, and they use that as part of the process, you'll go through a brick wall to make it work, because that was part of your idea. So empower your people more. Open up to them. Let them come up with ideas. We don't have to have all the answers. Let them have some.
Jackson, one of the things that I love about the fuel tick system is, again, like you mentioned earlier, how all of these different sessions today tie together. The fan engagement, we talked about the upsell. You guys are the master at offering the upsell as part of what you guys do.
Yeah, if you can, we can help kind of maximize those sales efforts for your online and box office, the value add type thing. And I think that's the knowing what you can do operationally, whether if you're fortunate enough to have an outside or an inside sales staff where you've got them, actively hammering the phones and reaching out for that. That's a huge asset that obviously they're going to be intimately familiar with your inventory that they can sell. But if you're a smaller track that you're wearing as many different hats as they make as far as operating your track from both the product on the track, but also all your business operations, facility upkeep, things like that, you can package things in a way that make it very easy for people to understand that they can have access to some of those opportunities. But the first question is determining what you have that makes you unique, and if you are going to offer something like they talked about with the VIP experience, a lot of that doesn't necessarily cost anything, but if you're going to do it, you've got to activate on it. You've got to offer a good product that people are willing to get excited about.
Thinking based on that too, I'm a big lover of upsell. I'm never satisfied with just selling what is. But come up with creative ideas. Whether you have a business that has their department come out to be racing company for a day, racing team for a day, where they come out on a lesser day where it's not as busy, where they actually partake. They're in the paddock. They're doing the qualifying. They're helping along. Whether it's a pre-event meet and greet, whether it's a racer for a day, whether it's front row experience. If you're buying a front row seat or the front 3 row seats, what special experiences will those people get with it? Those kind of things, that upsell is just extra revenue for you, but it also increases the experience immensely. And those people talk about, and someone spoke about it earlier, they will pay for it. Absolutely, they will pay for it. If you put 2 price points out there, a lower price and a higher price, most people will go for a higher price because they figure mentally the lower price is going to be farther away from the action. It's going to be in the cheap seats. I'm only going once. Might as well make it a great experience. Make it a great experience. It's all about that experience.
Kathy, you mentioned the only going once thing. That happens a lot at racetracks where people do try it once and they might not come back. And it's not always the action on the track. Again, tying into everything. It's the whole fan experience. But what can you actively do as a good sales team to make sure you re-energize your fan base? And see, I used your word.
You did. Yeah, I believe in re-energizing. You know, if you do something once or twice, you may not want to go back again. I did that, I'm going to try something different. We hear that from companies a lot. We did that before, we want to do something different with our people. Your goal is to re-energize those people year after year. And as soon as your season ends, your biggest thing you should be doing is brainstorming. What one thing can we bring to light this year that we didn't do last year, that we can create as a new experience that'll get people here, a different edition, something different to bring them aboard? What is your track known for, right? What is it even known for? So in Cleveland, when we had the Champ Car Grand Prix, you have to know who your people are, where our people are, who wants our people, and what are the people we're trying to get. And one of the things they found was that it was considered a rich man's sport. And so they were looking for, hey, we need families. We need to stop the rich man's sport. We really need families. So I sold a sponsorship to university hospitals. They were really good about it. They provided us a ton of money, and they created an entire family-friendly zone. We had Michael's Craft Store, who came out for free and brought thousands of T-shirts, thousands of puffy paint. Kids were making their own T-shirts, making racing stuff, had all kinds of activities for families, and we found that it really increased it. It really increased the attendance. It increased, we gave them a lesser day that was their day so we could charge a little less. Just re-energizing in different ways. I was telling Dennis before, I did a Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Thursdays were the worst possible day. They couldn't get anybody to come to a track, so I thought, all right, we'll try this. So, you know, Ferris Bueller, we sent out to every major company in Cleveland and in Houston a sheet, a hall pass, get out of school free kind of thing. And we told the departments, business departments, don't tell your staff where they're going, make this a surprise, tell them to dress down. We had hundreds of people come out for it, hundreds and hundreds. Companies are bringing out their whole departments, brought them out on a bus. We had a car out there with a guy singing Twist and Shout every once in a while and getting everybody energized and excited. We had an MC going, Bueller, Bueller, and then he'd call a name and they'd give away prizes. Had the paddock open so these guys could really experience stuff, and that ended up being one of the best ways to introduce people to the sport. And from there, we had a whole new fan base to go after.
And that's a group outing with a potential marketing partner as well. And one where if you really wow them, you're going to keep them coming back, which is going to make your job easier.
Exactly.
Jackson, how does your system allow folks to use the data collected when someone buys a ticket through your system, whether it's at the gate even or online? How can they use that data effectively to market to their customers?
Yeah, at the very least, it gives you an opportunity to get the data. If you think in a traditional box office walk-up setting, a lot of times you aren't going to be able to get that. Obviously, any e-commerce online ticket sale, there's going to be data attached to it. At the very least, if you aren't sending out a thank you email 24 hours without the race as a very soft touch, thank you for being there and recognizing them. Then from there, obviously, any additional follow-up that you do with that, the system is able to track within the reporting and administration tools kind of the history of what that purchaser is. So obviously, if you keep an eye on the analytics, obviously, and I think that's a big keynote from the information from the data analytics earlier, the information's out there. What you choose to do with it is kind of up to you and how you wrap your brain around that. But if you recognize any any patterns within that purchaser's history. You know what? This person's only coming to my specials. This person's coming to my Friday night weekly series. Things like that. Then to allow yourself to go out there and target them based on that. Within your group outings or within your fan base, whatever you can do within your venue to get as much information from your fans as possible. Within it wasn't racing specific, but within minor league sports, we had staff members constantly passing out clipboards for enter to win. I mean, you guys know people will go nuts for a keychain or a T-shirt or whatever. Is giving out that 50-cent keychain worth getting some real customer data, fan data from them that you can then put into your database and grow your list?
It's a great idea, and it's very inexpensive tool for marketing. Before I throw out the next toss-up question here, I also want to encourage folks in the audience, maybe you don't have a question, maybe you have an idea that you have used that you want to share with the class, or an idea that you've tried that failed, if you're brave enough to admit that. But before that, let's see a show of hands if we have anybody out here that's looking for the microphone. I'm going to throw up the next question, which is, how the heck do you measure the success of all these great new ideas?
Go on.
I mean, it's obviously attendance is ticket sales and revenue. Attendance is always a benchmark, which is an easy one to establish. From that, I think it's really comes down to, and they alluded to it in some sponsorship earlier, is figuring out what your focus is for that campaign. Is it to grow your walk-up business? Within, I mean, again, we focus on short track racing, but it's so weather dependent that oftentimes people are waiting to see what's it going to be like Friday night. Is it going to be warm enough, and are the clouds going to hold off? Is it going to be worth going out? So gauging your walk-up attendance, which is also a reflection of your outbound marketing and PR strategy. If you offer ticket package renewals, what's your renewal rate? Do people see the value year after year in any multi-event packages that you offer? And so again, it's a very, like most things, it's a very open-ended question to figure out what the true focus is within that particular ticket offering.
I agree. Revenue is important. The number of tickets sold is important. Just as important is, have you branched out? Have you brought in a new base? Are you bringing a new base? You may have the same attendance, but you're also, over years, you've been losing. You look at baseball, and that's been considered every team I go to, I ask them, who are your people? Trying to figure out, do they even know who their base is? And they all come up with the 55 plus. That's what they are. Well, what are you doing to attract the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings? Because the 55 plus isn't going to be there forever. So, measuring this, marketing to figuring out how to, measuring that success. Are you bringing them aboard? Are you doing things that are going to bring them aboard? Times are changing. We have to change with them. So what is it people want nowadays? Find those needs, and that will bring us that success.
One thing that frustrates me is when I hear a track owner or a promoter try one new thing, whether it's a marketing angle, whether it's, whatever it is. And instantly 2 weeks later, it wasn't a success. I told you so. How much is this the belief of really selling this to your staff before you can sell it to your customers?
Oh, I agree. And again, are you empowering your staff to come up with some of these ideas? Sometimes we think we have all the right answers. We know the needs. We don't have a clue. Not until we talk to the fans. We don't have a clue what it is. But I tell people all the time, and when I go to a staff and they'll say, we tried that, it didn't work. Was it the idea that didn't work or the execution? And 99.9% of the time, it's the execution that didn't work. We didn't execute it right. So don't beat up an idea right away just because it's not working. Stop and think, how am I executing this? Is this the right way? How could I do it better? And ask other people.
And how long, though, should you stay with a new idea before you really have given it time to know whether it's going to work or not?
I don't give up easily. As long as it's not hurting you, I will continue to work on it. One way or another, we'll make it work. I'm not one to give up. Again, if it's hurting you, that's a whole nother ballgame. But generally, it's not hurting you. Just figure out the right way. If you know in your heart it should work, then you're just not executing it right.
And Jackson, when I hear people talk about services like fuel ticks, I hear, well, I don't have all this money to invest in this new system. I just wasted my money 5 years ago on something. Can you explain to folks how inexpensive fuel ticks is and how it will also help them support their existing marketing partners and maybe even find a few new ones?
Yeah, within selfish plug for us, I guess. As far as ticket operations goes, you can virtually run a ticketing software system for free if you do it the right way. I mean, obviously, online convenience fees can easily be passed on to the customers. Even within short track racing, customers understand that you've got to pay a little bit extra to get that purchase done ahead of time. And we've seen our online traffic numbers within our short tracks grow significantly over the last years, and within that also grow as far as mobile ticket purchases. So I mean, you very easily pass those tickets on. You also look at the additional revenue stream that you now have for your ticket back sponsors, for your online printed home tickets. When you think about the easy industries to target within that, as far as putting on your ticket backs and your printed home tickets, any couponing initiative. I mean, you're talking your Jiffy Lubes, your quick serve restaurants, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, gas stations, things like that. The companies are always looking for ways to drive customers back through their doors. And you have something from your event that is a tangible put in your pocket. If it's something worth keeping, if it's a roll raffle ticket, you're going to wind up paying your custodian to pick up hundreds of those under the bleachers at the end of the event, because it truly is garbage. It's a dirty piece of paper. But if you create that value on the ticket, that now you are getting money from your ticket buyer, you're getting sponsorship money from the sponsor entity, you're creating value for your patron to go buy that online. You truly can run a system at zero cost to yourself by passing the fees on to your sponsors through additional revenue streams and through your fee structure to your ticket buyers.
And I think, too, don't make the mistake of just assuming we put it online, they're going to go by the droves and rush out and buy it. You still have to do your work, too. And consequently, I encourage teams a lot, when they roll it out, pick the month that you want your heaviest sales to come in, the month that you really want to focus on. And I have them turn around, and it's okay. The first 100 people that purchase online are in a drawing for, the next 500 that come aboard are in a drawing for this unique experience or something like that. Help drive that revenue through the online, but target it so that you're targeting when you want your money to come in also.
Kathy, what is the best strategy for learning about ideas that maybe folks hadn't tried yet?
Me. I have this bad habit of really getting off the wall ideas. I get very energized when I go somewhere and I find out what they have and just look at their facility, and the mind just starts going crazy with ideas. Just ask El Paso. The Chihuahuas have just converted most of their space into different usable space. But you have to have an open mind. You have to look at your racetrack. You have to look at your facility in different eyes. Don't see it the same way you've seen it every day for the past umpteen years. Look at it differently. How could others see it? Even if you're a small track, how can nonprofits help you? Nonprofits could make money and be helping you. They could be selling experiences for you, and you give them a minimum bid. And a minimum bid just covers whatever cost you're selling that experience for. The rest is all theirs. They auction it off. I've had tremendous luck with nonprofits who like to do unique things like this and be able to maximize it. So, look at your facility. Look at who's in your community. Who can help you sell that you never even thought of? What can you do differently with it?
And with that as well, I know there's been a lot of talk about millennials. Go even further.
Love
if you're not
millennials.
if you're not involved with the kids, school programs, things like that. I mean, how many people have kids that the kids are pestering on them to go find something to do? Obviously, live entertainment, which is what this is something specific that if the kids get excited about it, mom and dad kind of have no chance to say no, unless you're just the Grinch. So, that was within minor league sports. I mean, that was every year after year was one of our biggest areas of success was different initiatives through the schools. And with that, and I'm not going to take credit for this because Kathy brought this up in our conference calls, talking about the STEM programs and things like that. That I mean, with the different engineering and everything that goes into these cars that people don't have an idea of truly what it is. If you can get the kids excited about that through the education and STEM initiatives, that's easily one way to get them out to your facility.
Sports are the best STEM facility in the world. They're the absolute best STEM facility. Right now, education is focused on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Why aren't you using your facility to bring in people through STEM? I started a STEM program at the Cleveland Indians about a year and a half ago, and what they found was that the kids who actually hated sports, thought they were really stupid, found that they actually loved it for a different reason. And they found that the kids drove their parents nuts enough that they ended up buying packages so that they could go to the game more, so that they could watch it through STEM eyes instead of, who won, who lost. They didn't even know who won or lost. They didn't care. But they looked for other things. You have the perfect STEM facility. So whether you're promoting to schools in an off-season, working with them all year on STEM, culminating with a game, and if you culminate with a game, with a race, if you culminate with a race, even if you, and I'm not a big fan of free, but even if you give that kid, for going through the class, give that kid a ticket, he has to get there. He's not going to walk or drive himself. He's going to have his family come with him. You're going to bring the family along.
We're seeing a lot of move in some of the major racing venues where they're offering kid tickets free with a paid adult. Is this a good strategy that you would say is like the no-brainer strategy to try first, to try to re-energize your fan base of wanting to make it a family event again?
I would say it's good. I'm not a big free person, but I would say that's a good strategy, especially for a lot of racetracks that are trying to get family-oriented. But with that, you have to have something for the family there. So you can't just give a free kids ticket and change nothing else in your facility. There should be a kids zone, or there should be an area where kids can see the race in a different way. You were talking gaming, that's huge with kids. So their opportunity to drive a simulated race car, put on the helmet, dress up in the outfits, get pictures. I mean, families love that. Everybody loves their little darlings. They will do anything. We do anything for our kids, right? We get carried away. So if our kid wants to go, we will take them. But give them an experience when they're there. Speaking of sponsorship, sorry, this just popped into my head, which you're going to find with me. I had a team that was trying to think of something different for their sponsorship, so I wanted to give them added value. So we had an event at their bank, and we brought out some of the players. Well, season ticket holders were allowed to come, as well as anybody from the public was allowed to come. And you could get your picture taken with the player, but in order to do that, you had to open an account with the bank. So what they did was that bank said, get your picture taken with your little darling. Your kid can dress up in their player's outfit, or the kid can have the picture taken with the race or whatever, but we'll put that on your debit card. They opened over 60 accounts that night because the parents wanted a debit card with their kid's picture on it and a player. I mean, what a great idea, right? It was just, it was my idea, but it was just a really, that was one of those late night ideas. But that's how to get your sponsors engaged. That's how to get the families engaged. Different ways like that.
Yeah, free can be a slippery slope with anything. Oftentimes it can set the precedent. Once you give it away, it's tough to get it back, and oftentimes as well. But if you, like they alluded to, if you can attach technically, yes, it's a $0 ticket, but attach it with any different programs, whether that would be your kids club, and through that you're leveraging additional sponsor dollars from the bank or from Denny's because they want to sell kids meals, things like that. But oftentimes a free ticket crowd is also going to be a free concessions crowd. You oftentimes hear, well, if you just get them in the door, they're going to buy concessions. Obviously, it comes down to knowing your individual market and things like that. But oftentimes, if you see a boost in attendance with a swath of free tickets, you're going to see your per cap numbers within the concession dip as well, because again, the free ticket crowd is going to be the water fountain crowd as well. They're not necessarily going to be purchasing things. So again, it's an individual opportunity that you have to evaluate within yourself, but know that it can be a slippery slope, and if you give it away, it can be tough to get back.
And that's a good point, to tie it in with your sponsors. What sponsors are looking for kids, right? Who's trying to market to kids? Your Kellogg's, stuff like that. Who's trying to market to kids? Those will give the free tickets. They will pay for it. Just like some of your other, who wants millennials? Your New York Life Insurance loves millennials. You know, they're great to sponsor something to bring them aboard.
Kathy, how many different types of marketing programs can you have going on at the same time, all in the goal of reaching different demographics without having your message get too confused out there in the marketplace?
I don't think you should have too many going on. I'll be real honest. You need to focus on doing what you are doing well. So if you pick 2 or 3, do them well. I've seen some teams that have, you look at their web page and they'll have maybe 15 different options. I'm overwhelmed after the second one. It's like, okay, this is way too much. So do a few, but do them well. Substantiate it, back it up. If you say you're going to have a kids club, and the sponsor sponsoring it, you're marketing this kids club. What are you doing with it? Make sure you can do all the things you're going to say you're going to do. If you're offering these experiences, make sure you're going to give the experiences you say you're going to give. So whatever you do, do it well. Do it. I would rather have few and done well than a million and done really poor.
And simplifying it is very, very important too, which is, my goodness, another question to you, Jackson. I'm going to almost sound like I'm on the payroll. But that's one thing I love about what FuelTix does. You make this so doggone simple to integrate into your operation, and so simple for the user to use.
No, and we do, and the reason for that is we understand that a lot of our users, as far as track administrators and things like that, this may be their first time dipping into a system. They've got other things that they have to do, and so understanding a very sophisticated software system will become counterproductive and wind up being another line item that they're not using, which makes it a bad experience for everyone. And so if we can help you understand that building and managing your ticketing software as a real asset, and again, it's something that we want to help you with. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be. If you want to go sign up with Ticketmaster, by all means, they've got a lot of really cool things that they can do at a really high price tag. But if you need simplicity and core functionality, we'd love to help.
And the upsell thing really works with your ticketing service, because I used your service, I found out later, at an event that I was doing at a small community theater that I was attending. And they sure got me for that upsell real easy using your system. All right, Kathy, you mentioned the debit card idea. You've mentioned the Ferris Bueller idea, but I have a feeling that's not the strangest marketing idea you've come up with.
Oh, I've come up with a number of strange ideas. Let's see. Did you have one in mind that I told you?
No, not at all.
Okay. I have to stop and think.
I'm just intrigued with the originality of some of these.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm dangerous that way. But, one thing, this isn't strange, but I was going to add it. one of the things we did with one of the racetracks is on a slow day is we had different challenges day. Developmentally challenged people are never invited. They're never asked to go anywhere. I found that they're, and I have a developmentally challenged brother, so it's very near and dear to my heart, but they're never accepted anywhere. They're never invited. So we had a developmentally challenged day in which it was more low-key. It was on a very slow day. They could enter the paddock. The racers were more than kind to come out and talk to them, experience with them. And we had over 1,000 people come out for that, which I thought was tremendous. And they paid for their ticket. There was no question they paid for their ticket, but they got the added value with it. So they were able to walk through the paddock. They were able to sit in the stands. They watched some of the races. It was more about walking around and experiencing and being part of something. So there's markets out there, there's groups out there that you probably never even thought of. They're just waiting to be asked. They really are.
Jackson, I'm going to let you wrap things up for us.
Perfect. So with ticketing, there is no one size fits all. Every venue is going to be different. Every event within that venue is going to be different. So knowing what your specific core competencies are and what you want to chase is always a good starting point. And it was the first thing I wrote down on my notepad during the fan engagement session this morning is treat every night is opening night. It should be your ongoing mantra for whether you're a promoter, a sanctioning body, whatever. It's some person's first experience within your show. And if you truly treat every night as opening night, it's a good overriding theme in everything: ticket sales, sponsorship, analytics, event operations, cleanliness of bathrooms, start to finish. For me in my event career, that was always something that yeah, we're on game 7 in a 7-night homestand, and I'm ready to rip my hair out because it's been a lot of time. But there's a family that this is their first time, and you have to treat it that way to know that ultimately they have the experience that they were looking for and willing to pay you for.
I think it's not a win for us unless it's a win for them, and that's something we have to remember.
Very nicely stated. What did we learn during our ticketing and revenue segment? Well, we learned that change is hard, but can be very profitable if you build better leaders on your own sales staff. That will be able to continue that success long after the consultant is gone. And the definition of insanity from many years ago still applies and really applies in our industry. Take chances, try new things. Hey, if they don't work, you're no worse off than you were before. And all of our sessions do tie together. Use your ticketing system to grab the upsell, but never, ever forget that fan that is at your event today, it might be their first time, and you can get them back to the show again. Ladies and gentlemen, our ticketing and revenue people.